I have a question for you. When was the last time you truly challenged yourself? And I don't mean for a day or for a week. I'm talking about every single day, without missing a beat for an entire month. 30 days ago, I made myself a promise that no matter what life threw at me, I would practice one thing: perseverance. Sounds simple, right? Just don't give up. That's what I thought too. I thought perseverance was just this heroic, stubborn decision to keep going. But I was wrong. What I discovered in those 30 days completely changed the way I look at discipline, failure, and even success itself. You see, perseverance isn't just about the big moments, the grand achievements, the dramatic comebacks, the movie-worthy wins. No, it's about what you do when no one is watching. It's about those mornings when the alarm goes off and you want nothing more than to stay in bed. It's about those evenings when you tell yourself, "I'll skip just this one day," and that little voice inside you whispers, "No, keep going." These last 30 days were not just a challenge to my schedule or my habits. They were a test of my mind, a test of my patience, a test of my ability to keep moving forward even when my energy was gone, my motivation had left me, and even hope itself felt like it had packed up and walked away. There were days I felt strong and days I felt completely defeated. Days when I could see the finish line, and days when I couldn't even see the next step. And through it all, I realized something powerful. Perseverance isn't a trait you're born with. It's something you build. And here's the twist: you don't build it in the easy days. You build it in the hard ones. The days when you're tired. The days when you don't feel like it. The days when quitting looks so much easier than continuing. I'll be honest with you, I had moments where I questioned everything. Why am I even doing this? Does it really matter? Will anyone even notice if I just stop? But here's the thing: perseverance is not about who notices. It's about you noticing. It's about keeping a promise to yourself, no matter how small. And when you do that, when you prove to yourself over and over again that your word means something, you start to trust yourself on a whole new level. And let me tell you, that changes everything. Now, you might be wondering, what did you actually learn in those 30 days? What could possibly be so surprising about simply not giving up? Well, the truth is, perseverance isn't just a skill. It's a mirror. It shows you exactly who you are when the comfort is gone, when the applause is gone, when the reward is far away and uncertain. I learned that discipline isn't glamorous. There's no music montage like in the movies. There's just you, doing the work again and again. I learned that your mind will try to bargain with you. It will give you 100 logical reasons to stop. And if you're not careful, you'll believe them. I learned that motivation is temporary, but habits will carry you through the days motivation abandons you. Most of all, I learned that perseverance is contagious. When you refuse to quit, people notice not because you told them, but because they feel it. It inspires them to keep going in their own battles. And that, my friend, is powerful. This wasn't about crossing a finish line or earning a medal. It was about becoming someone I could rely on, someone I could respect. And if you've ever struggled to keep going when it gets tough, I want you to know, you can become that person too. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact lessons I learned, the unexpected truths I discovered, and the small but powerful shifts you can make right now to change the way you pursue your goals forever. Because if there's one thing I know for sure after these 30 days, it's this: you are far stronger than you think, but you'll never see that strength unless you give yourself the chance to prove it. 1. Perseverance is built in the small moments. Gentle background music fades in calm, yet uplifting. The speaker leans slightly forward, making eye contact with the viewer. You know, when I first thought about perseverance, I imagined big, dramatic moments. Climbing a mountain, running a marathon, building a business from scratch. I pictured sweat, struggle, and a grand, cinematic victory at the end. But after 30 days of living with the intention to practice perseverance every single day, I discovered something that completely flipped that image in my head. Perseverance isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the small ones. Think about it. Most of our lives aren't lived on mountain peaks or finish lines. Most of our lives happen in the quiet, ordinary hours of the day. That moment the alarm goes off and you have a choice: get up or hit snooze. That moment you decide whether to keep reading that book, even though your eyes feel heavy. That moment you stand up from your desk and choose to take a short walk instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone. Those moments don't look heroic. They don't look like life-changing decisions. But here's the truth: each small choice is like placing a brick into the foundation of your character. And here's the catch: miss one brick, the wall still stands. But start missing them regularly, and the entire structure begins to weaken. I remember one morning during my 30-day challenge. It was cold, dark, and I had every reason to stay in bed. My mind said, "You've been doing well. One day off won't hurt," and maybe it wouldn't have if it was truly just one day. But deep down, I knew that was the first brick I'd be tempted to skip. And if I skipped one, the next would be easier. And the next, until my wall had gaps I couldn't ignore. That morning, I got up. Not because I felt like it, but because I wanted to keep my wall strong. And you know what? The moment my feet touched the floor, the resistance started to fade. So I want to ask you, what are the bricks in your day? The little promises you make to yourself. Maybe it's drinking that glass of water in the morning. Maybe it's writing one paragraph of your book. Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation before bed. We often underestimate these tiny acts because they don't look impressive from the outside. But here's something powerful I learned. Perseverance is a muscle, and those small choices are the reps that build it. The big moments, the job interviews, the presentations, the long runs, they're just the test. The training happens in private, in those seemingly unimportant choices no one applauds you for. And here's the beautiful part: once you start treating these little decisions like they matter, they do start to matter more. They stack up. They create momentum. They shape your identity. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and start saying, "I am disciplined." Let me give you another example. During those 30 days, I had a rule. Every day, I would take at least one action that moved me closer to my goal, no matter how small. Some days, it was an hour of deep work. Other days, it was just sending one important email I'd been avoiding. But I realized something: the days I did something, even something tiny, I went to bed feeling proud. The days I let myself off the hook, I felt the weight of it. Small choices are deceptive because they feel like they don't count. But that's exactly how perseverance, or the lack of it, is built. So if you're listening to this right now and thinking, "I'm not a naturally persistent person," let me tell you, neither was I. Perseverance isn't about personality. It's about practice. It's about training yourself to choose the harder right over the easier wrong, over and over, until it becomes who you are. I'll leave you with this challenge. Pick one small thing, just one, that you will do every single day this week. Make it specific. Make it achievable. And don't skip it. Not once. Not even when you don't feel like it. Watch how quickly that single habit starts to ripple into other parts of your life. Because if there's one thing I learned in those 30 days, it's this: you don't become persistent by waiting for a big moment to prove yourself. You become persistent by winning the small moments, day after day. 2. Motivation will leave you. Discipline must take over. Soft, determined background music fades in. The speaker leans slightly forward, voice steady but warm. By day 7 of my 30-day perseverance challenge, something happened. That spark I had in the beginning, the excitement, the rush, the let's go energy, it was gone. Completely gone. Have you ever felt that? You start a new project, a workout routine, a habit, and for the first few days, you're unstoppable. You feel like this time, nothing will get in your way. But then something shifts. That energy you were riding on disappears, and suddenly the same task feels heavy. That was me on day 7. I woke up, looked at what I had to do, and thought, I don't want to do this today. And right there, I learned one of the most important truths about perseverance. It has nothing to do with whether you feel like it. We love to romanticize motivation. We think if we watch the right video, read the right quote, listen to the right song, we'll stay fired up forever. But here's the reality. Motivation is a spark. It's powerful, but it burns out quickly. Discipline is the wood you throw on the fire to keep it burning when that spark is gone. On day 7, I had a choice: wait for motivation to return or move forward without it. And I realized if I waited, I might be waiting for days, weeks, maybe forever. Because life doesn't always send you a burst of energy right when you need it. That's when discipline stepped in. Discipline doesn't ask, "Do you feel like it?" Discipline says, "We made a commitment. We're doing it anyway." And here's something I've noticed: discipline is quieter than motivation. Motivation shouts. It's exciting. It's loud. It's flashy. Discipline, it whispers. It's steady. It's calm, it just keeps showing up. Think of it like this: motivation is the wind in your sails. It's wonderful when you have it, you move fast, it feels effortless. But when the wind dies, if you don't have discipline the oars, the steady rowing your boat just drifts. And drift long enough you end up somewhere you never intended to be. I remember sitting at my desk that morning on day 7, staring at my to-do list and telling myself, just start. One step. That's it. I didn't feel like it, but I opened my laptop and began. And something interesting happened once I started. The resistance began to fade. The act of doing the work created a little spark. Not a huge wave of motivation, but enough to keep me moving. That's the thing, discipline often leads you back to motivation, but motivation rarely leads you to discipline. So here's my challenge for you. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel inspired. What if, instead, you showed up no matter what? Rain or shine, energy or exhaustion, motivation or none at all. Because life will throw storms at you. There will be days when everything feels heavy, when work piles up, when your body's tired, when your heart's not in it. And if you've only trained yourself to work when you feel like it, you'll stop the moment those storms roll in. But discipline doesn't care about storms. It rows through the rain. It moves through the wind. It keeps going when every part of you is saying stop. And here's the beautiful part: every time you choose discipline over mood, you're proving to yourself that you are stronger than your feelings. You are in control. So if you take nothing else from this, remember this: motivation starts the journey, but discipline finishes it. And if you want to see who you can really become, stop chasing the spark, start building the fire. Music swells slightly. Camera holds on the speaker's focused expression. Now, let me ask you, the next time you wake up and don't feel like doing the thing you promised yourself, what will you choose, the spark or the steady flame? 3. Your mind will try to bargain with you. Background music: a soft, curious piano melody with a subtle, steady beat. The speaker leans slightly forward, almost like sharing a secret with the viewer. Around week 2 of my 30-day perseverance challenge, something interesting happened. My body was still capable. My schedule hadn't changed. I had the time, I had the energy, but my mind started whispering, hey, maybe it's okay to skip today. You've been working hard. You've earned a break. You deserve it. Sound familiar? That's the voice of comfort. The voice that says, rest now, you'll do it tomorrow. And let me tell you, it's persuasive. It sounds kind. It sounds logical. But in reality, it can be one of the most dangerous voices you'll ever hear. Because here's the truth: every time you say yes to that voice when you could have kept going, you're saying no to your own growth. It's not that rest is bad. Rest is necessary. But there's a difference between resting because you've completed your work and resting as an escape from the discomfort of doing it. For me, that inner negotiation started subtly. One morning, I woke up and thought, it's fine if I miss just one day. And sure, missing one day isn't the end of the world. But here's the danger: that voice doesn't stop at one day. It comes back the next day, and the next, armed with more excuses. And before you know it, the habit you were building starts to crumble. So I had to come up with a strategy, a simple sentence that could break the negotiation in its tracks. And it was this: I'll rest after I keep my promise to myself. That's it. No arguing, no overthinking, no room for debate. And something amazing happened once I got up and started. The resistance vanished. The thing that felt so heavy in my mind became so much lighter in reality. This taught me something powerful: most of the struggle isn't in the doing, it's in the deciding. The moment you start negotiating with yourself, you're already on shaky ground. The key is to stop the negotiation before it begins. Think about it: how many times have you talked yourself out of something that you knew would benefit you? Going to the gym, sitting down to write, having that important conversation? You make the decision in your head, and then that little voice starts poking holes in it until you give in. That voice thrives on hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it gets. Which is why the best way to beat it is to take action immediately. Don't give it time to build a case against you. And here's the thing: that voice will never completely go away. It's part of being human. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, and safe often means comfortable, but comfort is a double-edged sword. Too much of it, and you stop growing. So here's my advice: next time that voice whispers, you can skip this one. Pause and ask yourself, is this voice protecting me, or is it holding me back? If it's holding you back, Answer it the same way I did. I'll rest after I keep my promise to myself. And then just start. One small action. One step. Because you'll find that once you get moving, you're no longer fighting your mind, you're flowing with it. It's like pushing a heavy door. At first, it feels impossible. But once it starts to move, it gets easier. Your job is to get that door moving before your brain convinces you to walk away. I'll be honest with you, this might be the hardest part of perseverance because it's a battle no one else can see. On the outside, you might look calm. But inside, there's a negotiation happening between who you are now and who you're trying to become. And the outcome of that negotiation? That's what shapes your future. So, the next time your mind tries to bargain with you, remember this: growth lives just beyond the edge of comfort. If you can take one more step past that edge, you'll find strength you didn't know you had. The speaker leans back slightly, smiling with quiet conviction. Let me leave you with this question. What promise will you keep to yourself today, no matter what that little voice says? Because if you can win that battle today, you can win it again tomorrow. And that's how perseverance is built. 4. Perseverance changes your relationship with failure. Background music shifts to something steady and reflective, a slow, inspiring rhythm. The speaker looks straight into the camera, voice calm but certain. For most of my life, failure felt like a dead end. It was the thing you avoided at all costs. The big red stop sign on the road to your dreams. When I thought of failure, I thought of embarrassment, disappointment, that sinking feeling in your stomach when things don't go as planned. And if I'm being honest, I often made choices just to avoid that feeling, even if it meant playing small. But after 30 days of practicing perseverance, my entire view of failure shifted. I began to see that failure isn't a dead end, it's feedback. It's the universe saying, okay, that didn't work, here's your chance to try again, smarter. Think about it, the only way to completely avoid failure is to never step into the game. To watch from the sidelines while other people take risks, make moves, and sometimes fall flat on their face. And sure, from the outside, it looks safe, but is that really living? When you persevere, something changes. Failure stops being this terrifying monster you run from. Instead, it becomes a teacher, one that's brutally honest, but also incredibly valuable. During my challenge, I failed more than once. I set goals for the day and didn't always hit them. I had moments where I felt like I was going backwards instead of forward. But here's the difference: I didn't stop. And because I didn't stop, each failure taught me something I couldn't have learned by getting it right the first time. Failure taught me where my blind spots were. It showed me what strategies didn't work. It revealed patterns in my thinking, moments where I was making things harder than they needed to be. The more I experienced it, the less scary it became. And that's another gift perseverance gives you: exposure therapy for your fears. The first time you fail, it stings. The second time, it's still uncomfortable. But after the 10th time, you start to shrug and say, okay, what's next? I think of it like falling when you're learning to ride a bike. At first, every fall feels dramatic. You hit the ground, the bike tips over, maybe you scrape your knee. But as you keep getting back on, you stop focusing on the fall itself. You focus on adjusting your balance, steering better, finding your rhythm. And here's something I want you to remember: failure is never the finish line unless you decide to stop running. So let me ask you, what would you do differently if you knew failure was just one step on the path, not the end of it? Would you take more chances? Would you try that idea you've been sitting on for years? Would you finally start the thing you've been talking about forever? If you're nodding yes right now, here's your sign. Start. Step into the game. Let failure teach you what you need to know. Because the people you admire, the ones who built incredible careers, relationships, and lives, they didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there by meeting it, learning from it, and moving forward anyway. And when you combine that mindset with perseverance, something magical happens. You stop seeing failure as proof that you're not good enough and start seeing it as proof that you're in motion, proof that you're growing, proof that you're doing something worth doing. So the next time failure shows up, and it will try saying this to yourself: this isn't the end. This is information. This is progress. This is part of the process. Because the moment you believe that, failure loses its power to stop you. The speaker pauses, a small smile forming a mix of knowing and encouragement. Let me leave you with this: the only real failure is giving up. Everything else? That's just data. So what will you do with yours? 5. Support systems matter more than you think. Background music shifts to a warm, uplifting tone. The speaker smiles softly, leaning forward slightly, as if inviting the viewer into a personal conversation. There were days during my 30-day perseverance challenge when I woke up and had nothing left in the tank. My body was tired. My mind was tired. And if it had been just me, in my own little bubble, I probably would have quit. But here's what kept me going. It was a text from a friend asking, "How's the challenge going?" It was a quick call from a mentor saying, "I'm proud of you. Keep going." It was even a comment from a stranger online. "Your journey inspired me to start my own." Those little moments of connection, they mattered more than I could have imagined. We live in a culture that glorifies the lone wolf, the self-made success story, the hero who does it all alone. And while independence is important, I learned something powerful. Perseverance doesn't mean doing everything by yourself. In fact, the greatest perseverance often comes from the strength of a community. When you share your goal with someone, when you let them in, something changes. You're no longer just accountable to yourself, you're accountable to them too. And let me tell you, it's a lot harder to quit when you know someone's watching, cheering, and believing in you. I remember one particular day around week 3. I was exhausted, behind schedule, and honestly ready to just write the day off. But then, out of nowhere, a friend messaged me, "Don't forget, you promised yourself you'd finish strong today." That one sentence lit a fire under me. It reminded me that I wasn't alone in this, that someone cared whether I kept my word. And that was enough to get me moving again. Here's the thing. We all need people who will hold up a mirror to our potential when we can't see it ourselves. We all need voices that say, "I see more in you than you see right now." And sometimes, your support system isn't even made up of close friends or family. It might be a coach, a mastermind group, an online community of people chasing similar goals. It might be one person you follow who posts the right message at the right time. The point is, find your people. I know what some of you might be thinking, but isn't relying on others a sign of weakness? Not at all. Asking for support isn't weakness, it's strategy. Weakness is letting your pride keep you isolated. Strength is knowing when to let others help you carry the load. So if you're trying to build perseverance in your own life, here's my advice. Tell someone about your goal. Tell them exactly what you're committing to, and give them permission to check in on you. Not to nag, but to remind you why you started. And don't just receive support, give it, too. Reach out to someone else chasing their own goal. Encourage them. Because when you help someone else persevere, you strengthen your own resolve. I like to think of it like climbing a mountain. When you're part of a team, you move differently. You don't just think about your own pace, you think about helping the person behind you and staying close to the person ahead of you. You pull, you push, you encourage. And together, you all reach the top. Perseverance might feel like a personal trait, but the truth is, it's often a shared effort. We borrow strength from others when ours runs low, and they borrow from us when their tank is empty. So let me ask you, who's in your corner right now? Who's the person you can text on the hard days? Who's the voice that will tell you, keep going, when everything in you says, stop? And maybe even more importantly, whose corner are you in? Because here's what I know, the path to your goal will be full of days when motivation is gone, discipline is heavy, and self-doubt is loud. But when you have the right people around you, you won't have to fight those days alone. So if you take nothing else from this lesson, remember this. Perseverance is stronger when it's shared. The speaker smiles warmly, pausing for a beat. Find your people. Lean on them. Be one of them for someone else. Because sometimes, the difference between quitting and pushing through is simply knowing someone's got your back. 6. Self-talk can make or break you. Background music shifts to something soft, but empowering, a slow piano melody with a subtle beat underneath. The speaker's tone is thoughtful, as if inviting the audience into a deeper reflection. For the longest time, I believed perseverance was all about action. Just doing the thing, no matter what. Show up, work hard, repeat. But during my 30-day perseverance challenge, I discovered something I didn't expect. The way you talk to yourself determines whether you even take that first step and whether you'll keep going when things get hard. Think about it. How many times have you been this close to starting something important, and then your own inner voice talked you out of it? That little whisper that says, "You're not ready, you're not good enough, you're going to mess this up anyway." When your inner voice is harsh, when it's constantly criticizing you, It's like running a race with someone yelling at you from the sidelines. You might keep moving for a while, but eventually, you slow down. You start believing those words. And once you believe them, quitting feels inevitable. On the flip side, imagine if that voice said, "Come on, just one more step. You've got this," or "You've done harder things before, you can do this too." When your inner voice is on your side, suddenly the race feels lighter. The challenges don't disappear, but you believe you can handle them. And that belief changes everything. I learned this lesson the hard way. About halfway through my challenge, I had a rough day. Nothing seemed to go right. I missed my morning routine, my work piled up, and I was already frustrated before I even started my task for the day. And my inner voice? Oh, it was brutal. "See, you can't even keep up. You're failing already. Why bother?" I almost gave in. But then, I caught myself. I thought, wait, if I spoke to my best friend the way I'm speaking to myself right now, would they feel motivated? Or would they feel defeated? That question changed the game for me. Because the truth is, most of us speak to ourselves in ways we'd never speak to someone we care about. So I made a conscious choice. From that moment on, my self-talk had to pass the best friend test. If it wasn't something I'd say to encourage a friend, I wouldn't say it to myself. And you know what? The difference was immediate. Instead of saying, "You're behind, you'll never catch up," I started saying, "You've had tough days before and still pulled through. Today is no different." Instead of, "You're not doing enough," I said, "You're making progress, keep going." This wasn't about lying to myself or pretending everything was perfect. It was about speaking the truth in a way that built me up instead of tearing me down. Because here's the thing, perseverance isn't just physical endurance. It's emotional endurance. And the way you talk to yourself fuels or drains that emotional tank. So let me ask you, what's the voice inside your head like right now? Is it pushing you forward or holding you back? If it's the latter, here's a simple challenge for you. For the next 7 days, pay attention to your self-talk. And when you catch yourself being harsh or overly critical, pause and reframe it. Talk to yourself like you would to someone you love, with honesty, yes, but also with compassion. Because the words you repeat to yourself every day become the beliefs you carry. And those beliefs will decide how far you go. I've seen people with incredible talent quit early because their inner voice convinced them they couldn't do it. And I've seen people with no obvious advantage keep going, push through, and succeed, all because they had a voice inside saying, "Don't stop now. You can figure this out." The difference wasn't skill. The difference was self-talk. So if you're trying to build perseverance, start here. Become your own coach, not your own critic. Encourage yourself. Push yourself. Remind yourself why you started. And remember, the most important conversation you'll have every day is the one you have with yourself. Make it one that helps you move forward, not one that convinces you to stop. The speaker pauses, smiling gently, a mix of empathy and conviction. Let me leave you with this. Change the way you speak to yourself, and you will change the way you show up for yourself. And when you change that, there's nothing you can't push through. 7. The real reward isn't the goal, it's who you become. Background music shifts to something warm and cinematic, soft strings with a steady, hopeful beat. The speaker's tone is calm, reflective, but powerful. At the end of my 30-day perseverance challenge, yes, I achieved my goal. I did the thing I set out to do. And for a moment, I felt that rush, the satisfaction, the pride, the I made it feeling. But here's what surprised me, that feeling faded. It didn't last nearly as long as I thought it would. What stayed with me wasn't the goal itself. It was me. The version of myself I had to become in order to reach that goal. You see, every single time you choose to persevere, every time you keep going, when it would be easier to stop, you're proving something to yourself. Your word matters. When you say you'll do something, you do it. That kind of trust in yourself is rare. And once you have it, it changes everything. Because it doesn't just stay in one area of your life. If you've proven to yourself you can follow through on a fitness goal, that belief follows you into your work. If you built discipline in your career, that discipline shows up in your relationships. If you've learned to keep promises to yourself, you become more reliable to others too. That's the real win. Not the medal. Not the trophy. Not the checkbox on your list. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I can count on me." During those 30 days, I realized something else. Goals are temporary, but identity is lasting. The goal was just a destination. But the person I became along the way, That's someone I get to be for the rest of my life. And here's the part no one tells you: once you trust yourself, you stop fearing challenges. You stop doubting whether you have what it takes because you've already proven it to yourself, over and over. Let me ask you this: what would your life look like if you trusted yourself completely? If you knew, deep down, that when you set a goal, you'd see it through no matter how hard it got? What risks would you take? What dreams would you chase? We often think we're chasing the achievement, but in reality, we're chasing the transformation. We want to become the kind of person who can make things happen, not just dream about them. And perseverance is the bridge between who you are now and who you want to be. So, if you're in the middle of your own challenge right now, here's my advice. Yes, focus on your goal. Yes, put in the work. But don't miss the bigger picture. Notice how you're changing along the way. Notice the moments when you choose discipline over comfort. Notice the days when you show up despite the excuses. Because that's where the magic happens, not at the finish line, but in the steps you take to get there. At the end of my 30 days, I didn't just have a completed challenge. I had a deeper sense of self-respect. I had a stronger identity. I had proof that I could keep going when things got tough, and that proof is worth more than any goal. And here's the best part: once you've built that trust in yourself, you can take it anywhere. You can use it to build your career, strengthen your health, improve your relationships, or take on challenges you never thought possible. Because in the end, perseverance doesn't just get you to your goals. It turns you into the kind of person who doesn't need to wonder if they can achieve them. So, if you take only one thing from my journey, let it be this: the true reward of perseverance is not what you get, it's who you become. And trust me, that person is worth fighting for. So what shocked me the most after 30 days of practicing perseverance? It wasn't the exhaustion. It wasn't the temptation to quit. It wasn't even the moments I stumbled or failed along the way. No. The thing that truly surprised me was this: perseverance changes the way you see yourself. Before this challenge, I thought success was all about results. The trophy on the shelf. The title next to your name. The number in your bank account. But now, I see success differently. True success is about identity. It's about becoming the kind of person who keeps moving forward no matter what happens, no matter how many obstacles appear, no matter how many times you have to start again. And here's the truth I want you to hear: you don't have to run a 30-day challenge to start becoming that person. You don't have to wait until you feel ready or until life is perfectly lined up. You can start today. Start with one day, one small promise to yourself, and keep it. Then make another promise, and keep that too. Stack them, one on top of another. Perseverance is like a snowball. It starts small, barely noticeable. But as you keep rolling it, it gathers more and more weight until it becomes unstoppable. The beauty is the power you gain from it doesn't just apply to one area of life. The discipline you build from sticking to a workout will show up in your work. The patience you learn from pursuing a skill will show up in your relationships. The self-trust you develop from keeping promises to yourself will ripple into every decision you make. And that's why I believe perseverance is one of the most valuable things you can ever train, because it transforms you. And once you've been transformed, everything else changes with you. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But what if I try and fail? Let me tell you something: you might fail. In fact, you will fail. That's part of the deal. But here's the key: failure isn't the opposite of perseverance, quitting is. As long as you keep showing up, even imperfectly, you're still building that muscle. So, let me ask you this: what's one small thing you can commit to today and follow through with, no matter what, for the next 7 days? It doesn't have to be huge. In fact, it's better if it's simple. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. Write for 5 minutes a day. Take a short walk every evening. Read 10 pages of a book before bed. It's not about what you choose, it's about keeping the promise. Every single day. Because if you can keep one small promise for 7 days, you'll prove something powerful to yourself. You can follow through. And if you can do it for 7 days, who knows what could happen in 30? The speaker leans in slightly, speaking with warmth and conviction. And here's my challenge for you: don't just watch this video and move on. Decide right now what your 7-day promise will be. Write it down. Tell someone. Put it in the comments. Make it real. Because I believe this: in 30 days, you could be looking back at yourself with the same surprise I felt realizing you're no longer just chasing goals. You're becoming the kind of person who finishes what they start. And that's a transformation worth fighting for. Thank you so much for spending this time with me here on Napoleon Hill's Secrets. If something I shared today resonated with you, if it sparked something inside you, do me a favor. Hit that like button so more people can find this message. Subscribe so we can keep building this together. And more than anything, take action. Build the life you deserve one day, one step, one act of perseverance at a time.